Hey friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. Zoe and Lacey are really sleepy and they need a nap, but I'm about to make something and they're probably going to take note. I need to go check on my pasta cooking on the burner right now. We're going to make some oh my macaroni and cheese. You'll see why when we get started, so come follow along. Okay, so this is called oh my macaroni and cheese because I think I kind of made up part of this. I'm not sure even where the initial thought for this came from, but this has prosciutto or bacon in it. Now, I don't have prosciutto, but I have bacon right now, and I don't want to go to the store because it's cold. So, as you know, I always have cooked bacon in my lower oven, upper oven, lower oven. That's where I store it until I get ready to use it. Then I take everything out of it. But I have the bacon, so we're just going to chop that up and start with that. Just chop it up into kind of bacon bit size pieces. Now, if you have prosciutto, that's totally fine. Prosciutto is very, very good. Make sure it is uncured, and I think most prosciutto is uncured, if not all of it. But the curing process is what's not really a good idea to eat. Okay, so just pieces about like that. And the recipe calls for 4 ounces of prosciutto or bacon. And if you get a little bit more than 4 ounces, I don't think anybody's going to be upset about that. I'm hosting a dinner in a few nights, and what I'm going to do is make this dish. This is our entree. I'm going to make this dish today, and then on Monday I'll come back and finish the video because I'll be putting the breadcrumbs on the top. So this does have a breadcrumb topping that you put on right before you bake it. But if I put the breadcrumbs on now, they're kind of going to get mushy after they sit in the refrigerator covered up for a few days. Okay, one last piece. And this is uncured bacon as well. Somebody said the other day, I was talking to a friend and they said, I didn't even know they made uncured bacon. Well, they do, but it's just not as easy to find. Don't feel silly for not realizing that, but you'll probably find it on an upper corner of the area where bacon is sold. And it might be a little more expensive. Most things that are better are, but it's not just an incredible amount more expensive. So I would say it would be worth it. The curing process is what puts carcinogenic qualities into the food. So I just try to stay as clear of that as I can. But just use what you feel comfortable with using, and we can still be friends. All right, we'll move that pan out of the way. All right, we're going to take this and put it in a stock pot. I'm going to heat my stock pot up just a bit. And I'll have to move my cameras over. Let's see what else I need to do over here. I'm reading my recipe from here. I have 2 things going over there, and I still have things to do over here. So if I look scattered, I am. All right, I'm going to move the camera over here. To be honest, I really didn't know I could fit that camera underneath the counter like that. So score, we got another view. Okay, I have my pasta going over here. This is 1 pound of really any kind of pasta you want to use. I used a really big pasta the other day. I think it was rotini, but I could be wrong about that. I mean, it was like huge tubes, not like manicotti, but just big big pasta. But today I am using, no, this is rotini in here. Anyway, I don't know what I used the other day. I made this the other day, and then I thought, you know what? I didn't video that. I need to. This is really a good recipe. I hadn't made it in a long time, and I've had the recipe in my big notebook, but you know what? I just keep putting things on the back burner. Oh, I'll do that later, or I think I've done that before, and I swear, I think I could cook something this week and next week completely forget that I've done the video. My husband will literally sit and argue with me that I've done a video on something, because I'll say, oh, this is good. I need to do a video of that and share with friends. And he'll say, you already did it. I'm like, no, I didn't do a video on this. Yes, you did. I edited it. I'm like, I don't think so. And then he proves me wrong every time. So I cannot remember what I do from one day to the next. But I do cook 3 meals a day, so I forget what I video and what I don't. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. All right, we have our pan heating up. If you choose to use prosciutto, go ahead and add a little bit of oil to this, but the bacon honestly does not need oil in it. Now this is already cooked bacon, but if you use raw bacon, go ahead and cook it and then drain most of the grease off. Now I didn't say throw it away, but I did say drain it off. You can save it in a jar and stick it in the fridge. This pan is not really that hot yet, but it'll get hot. We're just going to kind of get some of the oils out of that and crisp that up just a little bit. Again, all we're doing is just crisping this up. It's not a matter of getting it cooked anymore. Okay, I removed that to a small bowl over here to the side. We'll save that for later. We are going to take a stick of butter. And about 1/3 to 1/2 of a cup of chopped green onions. We have 1/4 of a cup of white wine. This is just Pinot Grigio. This came from Costco. You know, I only buy the best. And once your green onion starts getting a little bit tender, you don't want it to get dark yet. Starts to get tender and the butter is melted. We're going to add the white wine and cook for about a minute. If you don't have white wine, you're welcome to use a broth of whatever you have, chicken broth or vegetable broth. Pour our 1/4 cup of wine in there. Now we're going to add about 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour to make a roux. Stir that in. And over there in another bowl, or another big measuring cup, I have 2 cups of heavy cream, 2 cups of whole milk. Actually, I only had 1 cup of heavy cream, so just make it up with 3 cups of whole milk, but whatever you have, just use that. Enough to make 4 cups. Check on my pasta real quick. And that's looking good. I'm going to go ahead and turn the burner off under that. And we'll address that in just a few minutes. We just want that raw flour taste to go out of the flour, so that's why we're cooking it this long. I think I have all the lumps out of it. Okay, we're going to add our milk and cream. Stir it while you're adding it in. To this, we're going to add 1 bay leaf. We're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Let me read my recipe again. Yeah, 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of ground red pepper. So 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and red pepper meaning cayenne, 1/4 teaspoon of that. Just like that. Okay, we're going to let this cook a bit. Meanwhile, we're going to shred our cheese. So we'll go back to the island and shred the cheese. Okay, so here we have 16 ounces of sharp white cheddar. Notice it's not a big block of orange cheese. And I don't think necessarily the taste would make a difference. You do need sharp cheese, but white cheese, because everything else in there is white. There's no orange in it. The most orange thing is this smoked Gouda that I have. So please do not buy pre-shredded cheese. I know I say that on every video that has cheese, but it just goes without saying almost. But I'm going to say it anyway. Don't buy pre-shredded cheese. I'm not sure exactly what that would be beneficial for. I mean, other than saving time, I know that, but I can't think of a dish that I would go, man, that just tastes better with pre-shredded cheese. I just like the flavor of that. It's coated in what's called cellulose, and basically what that is a coating that prevents the little shreds from sticking together, but it greatly affects the outcome of some of your dishes, mainly because I'm not adding cellulose to anything, so I don't know why I would want something that had cellulose on it to be added to it. And I'm not even sure what cellulose is. I hear it's wood pulp, but you know what? I haven't needed any of that yet, so I'm pretty sure I can go the rest of my life without eating some cellulose. So we'll just assume that it's better left off. So just get you a block of cheese. It's actually less expensive if you shred it yourself. So invest in a good shredder, a good grater box, and maybe that's something you can put somebody else in the household to doing as a chore. I think my daughter she loves cheese, but if she saw me getting that grater out, she would suddenly find something else going on in another room that needed her immediate attention because she knew I was going to put her to work grating some cheese. And the only advantage to grating cheese is that you can eat as many pieces as potentially is about to fall in the floor, and she made it a point to make that happen. So, smart girl. That is a lot of cheese. You know why I call it Oh My Macaroni and Cheese now. It's very creamy. We had this makes a pretty large pan, but this is a 3-quart casserole dish that I have over here. And it makes quite a bit. We had guests over the other night to finish off some leftovers when I made this the first time last week. And when they walked in, it was a brother and sister, and they both were saying, something smells really good. And I thought, well, no cook ever doesn't like to hear that. But they just kept saying it, and I said, well, I think it might be the macaroni and cheese. So I was excited to know that they thought it smelled good, because I think it tastes as good as it smells. All right, that's the cheddar. And then you'll need 4 ounces of smoked Gouda. Now, this is an 8-ounce package, so when I used this the other day, I only needed half of it. So I thought, well, that's going to work out well, because if I make this again and video it, I'm going to need the other 4 ounces. And it worked out great. All right, we're not done with the cheese yet. We also need about ½ a cup of fresh grated Parmesan. And this is my was a big giant block. This thing took up the entire bag, and this is what I have left. It's kind of sad. And I'm just going to eyeball to see when I get about ½ a cup. If you don't have Parmesan, you could also use Romano. The taste is very similar, and in fact, I've actually heard some authentic Italian people say they like Romano better than Parmesan. Now, this is Parmesan Reggiano, so this is some of my favorite Parmesan, but Romano is still really good. Okay, I think that is about ½ cup. So we have our cheese ready. That is a lot of cheese, people. Now, if you're making this dish and you're short on time, this is one of the things you could do ahead of time. Just put the cheese in the refrigerator in a container, and it'll be ready to go when you're ready to make the dish. All right, let's go drain our pasta. All right, we're stirring this just till it gets thick. And then we're going to remove that bay leaf. All right, this is my 3-quart casserole dish, and it's enamel. It's some kind of enameled metal, so it's a very high quality pan. So I'm excited that I have this. Most of my pans underneath the cabinet are 2-quart, and I kept panicking, thinking I don't even have a bigger one because I made it in a 2-quart casserole dish last week. But when I was baking it, it kind of bubbled over just a little bit in the oven, and I don't want that to happen when I cook this next time. So I was thinking maybe like a 2.5 quart would be good. But when I remembered I had this pan stored somewhere else, actually I had it out in the garage in a covered area, and I thought, oh yeah, 3-quart, that's perfect. So this is the first time I've gotten to use this pan. And I am slathering it with coconut oil. I don't think that the macaroni and cheese would stick to it, but I just don't like taking chances. Okay, you can see the mixture's bubbly and getting thicker. There's a sweet spot between the 2 and the 3 on my dial on my stovetop. And if I get it to that, it's great. But if I get it to just a 2, it doesn't cook hot enough. And I get it to 3, it's cooking too hot. So I'm trying to find that sweet spot. See that bay leaf in there, so when I'm ready to fish it out, it'll be easy to find. Okay, I think that's pretty close to the thickness we want it. It will still thicken up a bit when it's cooking in the oven, because this is a macaroni and cheese that'll be baked. Okay, we have our bay leaf out. Going to turn our burner off. We're going to add back our bacon that we have set aside. We're going to add in all our cheese. And I love this flexible mat, this flexible cutting mat, just for this reason right here. I can bend it and make sure everything goes in the pan that I'm wanting it to go in. Between the hickory smoked bacon and the smoked Gouda, this has such a fabulous fragrance to it. It's really, really nice. This is so substantial. When I say it's an entree, some people would be like, what? You mean that's it? But I'll tell you what I serve with this is a really big salad with homemade dressing, and at some point I may do a video on that. I serve roasted sweet potatoes, which are fabulous, and then I serve a garlic bread, homemade bread with butter and Italian seasoning on it, which I've done a video for that before. And this macaroni and cheese, it is such a good meal. It's just, it's not too heavy, but you feel like you've really eaten something very comforting. Okay, we're going to take our pasta and pour into our cheese mixture. I wonder if this will put a glare on it. I can't tell if that's better or worse. I'll turn the low light on. The nice thing about this shape of pasta is the little spirals in it kind of hold on to that cheese sauce. So that's really, really nice. Of course, is there really a bad macaroni and cheese? I mean, honestly, I can't think of a bad shape of pasta that goes with a cheese sauce. If the cheese sauce is good enough and the pasta is good enough, who cares what shape it's in? I know I don't. But this is going to be lovely. Okay, we're going to take this and turn this over into our casserole dish right here. I'll turn that light off. So what I'll do is I'll put this in the casserole dish. I'll cover it up with parchment paper, then we'll cover it up with aluminum foil. And let me get this camera situated so you can see what I'm doing here. I'll let it come down to room temperature and then put it in the refrigerator in storage. So when I get ready to bake this that afternoon of the dinner that evening, I'll get this out and leaving the foil and the parchment on, I'll bake it. And when it's almost ready to come out of the oven, I'll take and sprinkle my toasted breadcrumbs. This calls for Panko breadcrumbs, but honestly, I enjoy my breadcrumbs just because it doesn't have any, sugar or any preservatives in it. So I sprinkle the breadcrumbs on there and then pop it back in the oven for just the last few minutes to bake. It's so fabulous. Okay. All right, here's what we have here. Give you a close-up look. All right, so when we come back, and I'm going to bake this that afternoon, this will be in a few days, we'll come back and I'll show you the finishing steps for this. Getting the breadcrumbs on it at the very end, it's going to be good. So we'll look forward to that. Stick there with us, and we'll be back in just a second for you. It'll be a few days for me. Okay, I can see it bubbling around the edges right here, so at least we know part of it is hot. Just gonna pour the crumbs over the top of it and put it right back in the oven. Okay, but we're not gonna cover it up this time. We're just gonna put it back in just like this. Okay, here is our finished product, and I'm just going to dig into this so you can see what it looks like. You can see the pieces of bacon in there, and the cheese, 3 different kinds of cheese. And I know it tastes good because we had this last week, it's just I didn't video it, so I had to make another one. But good thing we're having a group come over tonight, they'll finish this off maybe. Okay, friends, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to sharing something again with you real soon. Bye.